I'm really glad to be back again with you today. And often Bill and I on Saturday night talk about what do we want to share in this blog. And what came to me is I want to give you a sincere invitation to give whole food plant-based a try. Now, why? I
So
don't,
we're speaking to people who are not whole food plant-based yet.
yeah,
Okay.
well, or maybe dabble.
Okay.
The reason why for me is because it allows you to go to another level of enjoyment of life. How does it do that? Well, as you eat whole food plant based, you notice that you really feel good. And if you have a condition like arthritis or high blood pressure or whatever, you notice that that's reversing or has reversed in a rather short period of time. So that allows you to relax at a deeper level into life. And that is a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Now, how do you approach this in the easiest way possible? Well, you could give yourself a timeline if that's helpful to you. Give yourself 30 days. I'm going to go on this for 30 days and see if all the nonsense I hear about it is true, or if even truer is the benefit I wasn't even aware that I would experience, because the benefits are massive when you make this change.
Was
You
for us.
Yeah, it was for us. So every time I've had a health concern or condition, food has resolved it, whole food, plant-based.
Yeah, adjusting the diet. You were already on a real clean diet and you made some adjustments and the body responded and came back into balance, which is what health is. Health is just a state of balance in the body.
Yeah, and the body is a healer extraordinaire. Once you give it the food it thrives on, you will not believe what it's capable of doing, because the body is always healing, 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 or removing waste toxins, etc. And if we minimize that toxic input, the body can create miracles. We've seen it again and again and again. And I haven't had anyone with a condition that didn't benefit massively from making this change. And in most every case, the condition reversed. Now, if we go back to our old way of eating, the condition will return. That we can count on. But even for those of you who have no health condition, you think, I'm healthy. I like the taste of meat. I like Snickers bars. I like donuts, whatever it is. I don't want to give that up. And I can understand that. But what my interest is how can I support this body to function at its highest performing level? And at that level, how do I experience life? I feel a great relaxation about my health, especially being in my 80s. This becomes more and more important. And as you eat more and more whole food plant-based, not only do you feel more secure about your health and its future, but you find that there are deeper resources that you have that make life really beautiful. So it's like a beginning step to take us into more and more of our potential. And that's the question. What do you want to live for? I want to live at the highest level of health and well-being possible, and for the highest level of truth in everything and in my interaction with life and everyone in life. So I invite you to take the first step. Challenge yourself or do whatever will be helpful to give yourself a chance to really try this on and see what it can do for you. Dr. Greger was talking about it this morning.
Before we go there, you mentioned something about these resources that become available as the toxins leave the body and we get healthy. What do you mean?
Well, clarity of mind is one. As the body becomes more and more able to function at the level it was designed to function, there is more clarity in the way we approach life and in circumstances that arise. That's one thing. We have the opportunity, because we're not so occupied in our thinking with what might happen and the stories that arise in everyday living and living from a sense of fear, the mind can settle more. And in that settling of the mind, there's more clarity.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they've done research that has shown how processed foods and the ultra processed foods actually increase your risk of depression,
Yeah,
even suicidal thoughts. So there's so many links to what we eat and our experience of life. So what I hear you talking about is our experience of life, both physically, because like you say, we both overcame health challenges by making this shift, but then emotionally. And, so the quality of life is more than just being disease free. What we're really talking about is thriving. Waking up in the morning. Like I woke up this morning, I remember when my eyes opened, it was like suddenly I got plugged in. It's like turning the car turned on. It's like, okay, let's go. It's like, whoa, 76 years old and he's ready to go. And I like that. I like that, and I look back to the experience my father had when, he passed away at the age of 69. And, for like 20 years prior to that, he was dragging.
That's true.
And it was definitely not a whole food plant-based diet he was eating.
Yeah, there's so much reward for going down this path. And if you give yourself a month, you'll begin to experience it quite significantly. And then you can go deeper and deeper into it and have deeper and deeper levels of benefit. Like we talk about now, we completely are salt, oil, and sugar free, and processed foods do not exist in our home in any way. And we are tasting food like we've never known that it could be. It is so delicious. I have an apple and I swoon at the taste in that apple. It is so glorious. So we're experiencing benefit that's amazing.
She's a cheap date.
That's true.
Yeah. So what we're talking about now too, where we're at with our diet and lifestyle, is part of a 35-year journey. And we have been refining all the way along. And we've had little nudges here and there with health concerns that have helped us refine it. So what's important is that you find the balance of these foods that work for you. And Connie mentioned Dr. Greger video we watched this morning, that I thought was quite interesting, how he was pointing out several million years ago, when this human body was evolving, if we believe that evolution theory, from the great apes to the humanoid, we inherited pretty much the same intestinal processes, and how it was designed way back then to give us the full signal, I've had enough, to stop eating. That was designed way down at the lower end of the colon.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is interesting,
Yeah.
isn't it? And so what that means is, well, it kind of explains to me why there's so much obesity and so much difficulty in the world today in terms of health, because they never get the I've had enough signal. Because when we eat these processed foods, all the calories and everything go into the body right away. They never get down to the end of the colon to stimulate the I've had enough. So you get that Lay's potato chip where bet you can't eat just one because you're never going to get the signal. That's enough.
Yeah.
So as we go to the whole foods, not the processed foods, when we eat the whole grains, I have a bowl of brown rice instead of toast, which is a grain. And if you look at the profile of carbohydrates and protein, you go, well, what's the difference? The difference is the form it's in, because in the whole food form, that fiber is packaged very differently than the fiber that's in the bread. And that's what allows all of this stuff to get to the lower end of the colon. So you go, oh, check it out. I've had enough.
And at that end of the colon, then the microbiome chews it up, the fiber,
that's
and
how it works.
releases even more nutrients that we don't get from any processed food.
Yeah. So anyway, there's lots of reasons. Science is just blowing my mind with how they understand how this works. You see, 35 years ago when we did it, there wasn't this understanding of the physiology. But who needs it? I mean, really, this whole food plant-based design is centuries old. It's millennia old. They've been doing it forever. And in fact, it's the closest thing to what we evolved with. And that's why it works so well, because millions of years of trial and error and adjusting said, this is, when food comes in this form, I can thrive.
It's so true. So just sit quietly for a few minutes, 2 minutes, and ask your own body's wisdom if it would benefit from you going on a whole food plant-based experiment for 30 days.
Or if you are whole food plant-based, take a look at what you're eating and see if there isn't some refinement.
Some processed food that
some processed food, or how much oil or salt or sugar you might be using. Just see if there's some refinement. Give it a try for a little while and see what your experience is.
Yeah. Now the recipe is divine today.
You liked it.
We really liked it. Anyway, it's a baked pasta Florentine. And it is delicious. It's a little bit of pasta, but enough, whole grain, and lots of veggies, including spinach. It's a one-dish meal. And then it's topped with breadcrumbs that get nice and browny. And it uses a sauce that is divine. And then you bake it up and you have a real beautiful meal.
Very good. So this is what we've done in our refinement of our recipes in terms of processed foods and whole grains, is that occasionally we do like to have some pasta. There's something about that. But we no longer like do a pasta dish, like a plate full of linguine with a tomato sauce on it. So it's more like this, where I think there's 6 ounces of pasta in this whole casserole. And there's 2 cups or a cup and a half, I think is what it is, a cup and a half of whole grain.
We use farro in this case, but any whole grain you enjoy works.
Yeah. And what we find for our bodies is that balance of having that majority of whole grain as opposed to the refined grain in the pasta lets us enjoy the taste experience, the texture experience of pasta without it kind of throwing things off. You've got all that whole grain that's getting down to the part of the body that says, I've had enough.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, I want you to get serious about this because it is It has been a pathway for us that's been pure delight, deeper and deeper levels of pure delight and great health. What could be better?
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.